Hey there everyone, Luke here, and yep, next week we'll be on break, not just for Shonen Jump with Mission Yozakura, but also myself, because like I said, I'm going away this coming week, so on Monday I will be on a boat. I am not gonna try and sing that stupid song of I'm on a boat, everybody check it out, because I'm saying it, but there's a song like that was parodied in Yu-Gi-Oh! British, but yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. So I will be away. This will be the last one for 2 weeks with me, which I kind of got confused when going through this, trying to get the time right, because I thought that this chapter would be released would be released this coming Sunday, but nope, we're on break, so perfect. The time couldn't be more perfect for me, and also as well, go and check out the live stream that me, Son Getsu, and Tyler in Control, well, on my channel, which will be up on Control Chaos, will be for the Sword and Era Ranger tier list. We had fun doing that. We're hoping to do another one of that on the villains and henchmen of that era. So look forward to that coming up. But for now, let's talk about the chapter, because we have some interesting things to discuss this week. Alright, so this will be chapter 189, titled The Nano Dungeon. Now, one thing I want to say is that, before we get into the colour page as well, is that it seems like at this point in the story, the twins are the main characters, like they've replaced Tao as the main character. Now, I'm in two minds about that. One hand, I kind of like it because it gives more characters a chance to shine in the spotlight and come out into their own, because as opposed to like always it being the main character has to always be always has to be one singular main character, which it doesn't. There can be multiple main characters, but at the same time, just for consistency as well, it can be a bit jarring, but we'll see. So far I'm enjoying Alpha and Hirofumi as major characters or main characters in the story. I'm really liking their dynamic and how they interact, not just with each other, but with their aunts, their uncles, and also Lando and Nemo, and also Taiyo and Mutsumi. I really am enjoying it. I'm looking to see more of them in the future. That's my take on the whole situation between Taiyo being replaced by his kids as the main character. And he might come back as the main character eventually, but for now we are sticking with them, and it'd be interesting to see where Gondaria Sensei takes them. But for now, yeah, mission 189, the Nano Dungeon, and we start off with the colour page, which features Futaba and Koichiro in the post time skip outfits, which very cool that we actually get the official post time skip colour schemes as well. And I love like the smoky mist that's in the background between them. It's really cool colour page there. So we start off from where we left off in the last chapter, where we have Alpha and Hirofumi and Koichiro arriving at Dr. Mozu's lab, and basically them being tasked with actually retrieving Nano, and Koichiro being the guide to them, as we get a recap of it being a nameless island in the southwest Arctic, just inside Dr. Mozu's lab, and Nano's being like, okay, everybody ready? Everything in check? Okay, let's begin the mission of rescuing me now. And Koichiro gives the instructions like, okay, you got to begin the infiltration right now, and everything is all right. If the lesson is a test in strength, this lesson is a test of strength, and if your lives are ever in danger, I'll help out. So basically, Koichiro's taken on the supportive role here of like, okay, this is all down to you guys, your strength and your will to survive this mission. But if things get out of hand, if I feel like your lives are in danger, I will be able to step in and be able to take care of it and help you out in any way I can. So it is nice that Koichiro is actually taking the back seat, because normally he's usually the finisher move for any of these missions. Like when the going gets tough and everything, he comes in and cleans it up. So it's nice that he's actually taking a step back, being like, okay, I'm the support here. I can't interfere only when the situation calls for it. But as Koichiro is explaining everything and getting Alpha and Hirofumi up to speed, they're distracted immediately by the poison gases that are coming their way, which thankfully, Hifumi, she's on the case using a yo-yo swirly whirly. I just love the technique. The techniques that Hifumi gives to her yo-yo, like swirly whirly, zing zang. I'm kind of wanting more of those like rhyming quirk names with her. That'll be pretty cool to see what other names they can come up with for her. But they actually noticed that all the cells around them are actually nano cells, that's pretty much established from the last chapter. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. That's pretty much established from the end of the last chapter. Nano has basically become one with the lab, so obviously it would make sense that all his cells are roaming around everywhere. And of course, the chapter is having problems getting up. Okay, so yeah, we're back up here. So even after Creature explains it, it's like, okay, I'm gonna help you guys everything, and they're ignoring him. Creature is like, oh yeah, they're in their ignoring rebellious phase already. Oh bless. Like, no, Karicho, they're ignoring you particularly for a reason. So they continue on advancing through the dungeon as Alpha makes up, like, the door has been run open, and Nanano goes on to explain that the cell clusters that separate me are independent. I can't predict how they're at now. Be careful on your way deeper into the complex. So yeah, like it was explained in the last chapter, his cells have become sentient, so they can attack. If they ever see Alpha and Hifumi as a threat invaders. And he continues to explain that he does still have access to the electronics nearest him, so he's able to actually give Alpha the actual location of, like, okay, here's the map. I'm able to do that for you. As Alpha goes on to say, like, there looks to be alternative routes farther inside, but it's a straight shot to them, and they have to go through the door. And yeah, and Hifumi was like, okay, you've explained whatever I need to know. Alpha. So I'll just use the Hifumi yo-yo swing, spelled with a Z, not an S. But as she does this, and Alpha's like, oh wow, Hifumi, with just one hit, we see this jelly slime thing come out and attack them, and Hifumi, she's just like getting praised by herself. She's like, yeah, I did it, now come in for the jelly attacks, and then she's just like, what? And she oh no, oh no, I love what happens here. No, she's just, so the jelly goes to attack her. Karicho uses Steel Spider. It's just like, yeah, come back here. And she's just like, whoa, what is that? What is that thing? And it's a slime that's in the shape of Nanano's bucket that he used to wear. Which begs the question: does he still have the bucket? Who knows? So after being surprised by the Nano slimes, Karicho goes on to explain to the twins, their monsters sometimes formed from when Nano's white blood cells go berserk. So I don't know what kind of experiments Nano was doing to make his white blood cells go berserk, come out of him, turn into jelly slime moles, and start attacking his family. Because we get a flashback here from Karicho's perspective about the slimes just basically going berserk and attacking everyone, ranging from, okay, so we have Nano actually grabbing one. We have Shinzo basically trying to swim in one and just being like, no. Same thing with Shion and Keigo, and then we just have Futaba just being like, nope, and just grabbing them as if they have some anatomy, which they do, and just basically like, get out of our lives, you stupid slides. And then you have Karicho being Karicho, just being like, oh, I'll take it, I don't care, it's my family, I'll take it. And he mentions some years ago, now botched experiment ensued a horde of them, clean up forever. Yeah, I'm not blooming surprised considering their slime, their jellies, like, can't really get rid of them also easily. But at the same time, yeah, what kind of experiment was he doing, and how did he botch it up? That's what I would like to know. Nano goes on to explain, slimes, you better be careful. They may look like silly bits of dry, but they're malicious to intruders. And sure enough, the one that they're facing now starts to prepare itself towards them. Hifumi's like, so fast, but my yo-yo is fast enough. So she tries to fire a yo-yo at the slime, hoping that it will just eviscerate in front of her. But as we know, the yo-yo is made of like the steel spider, so frying it into jelly, you can guess what happens. Yep, it gets absorbed by the slime, yeah, and so it's just like basically like, oh, my yo-yo is stuck right now. It caught my yo-yo, and in order to get Hirofumi's yo-yo out of it, Alpha uses his Alpha Watch the Night Mode to bring up a barricade. So like it's basically the barricade comes up, the slime rams into it, and it basically the intricatous force brings the yo-yo out, so that Hifumi is able to get a yo-yo back, and he uses the Rook technique and blast some electronic beams directly at the side, which forces it back. And yeah, they go on to say that I can't tell if we're affecting it. We need to pull back, and I'm sure it has to be working. Let's keep fighting it. Which Hirofumi anyways has to use his swirly whirly to just basically use his swirly whirly at an alarming rate. So it's just like swirly whirly, but Alpha is just like, no, stop Hirofumi, your yo-yo's only gonna get stuck yet again. But sure enough, at this time, after just pounding it with swirly whirly, she's able to beat it, and Alpha's just like, I have no idea what actually worked on it. And Nano goes on to explain, like, oh no, all of it did. Your techniques and Hirofumi's techniques, it all got on. So now we get a big explanation of why this actually worked here, as Nano explains that, oh, this is an amp that mentions Sonome activity. The Nano eyes, I developed it for my experiment. So we get the classic RPG statement of like, a Nano slime appeared, and he goes on, and Hirofumi, I love Hirofumi's expression, just like, oh, it's me, it's the back of me. Yeah, not every day you get to see the back of your face, the back of your head. And Alpha asks like, oh, is this the previous fight? And basically Nano confirms it by saying, when I sent you the facility maps, I also installed a camera function for you. The numbers above your head, so which the numbers above Hirofumi's head was 25, and the number above the slime was 100. Above your heads are your current summary expression level. So basically it's like the HP bar, and what levels they're actually at. No, it's basically like, okay, this is your experience level, so you're at level 25, this slime is at level 100. And he says the numbers are accurate down to 1 microgram of somnium per basically, yeah, Hirofumi has the same reaction I did, like, oh god, no, do you have to explain such complicated matters? I'm sure Party Jams will put in more detail in the comments on unless he comments about something else. But yeah, so for suffice to say, Nano goes on explaining like, okay, it's down to the 1 microgram of sodium per 1 milli of blood or air. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Hirofumi falls asleep at this point. Before we did we get a more so it went something like a video game? Okay, yeah. So basically, it all boils down to, okay, it's your HP, it's your attack bar, and that's exactly what it's like. Yeah. So basically, hey, bottom line, HP bar, attack bar, same thing with the slime. Simple enough to explain here. And Hirofumi oh yeah. So Alpha works out like, okay, yeah. So video games where attacks, HP bar, and everything else. And now it's just like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And of course, Hirofumi and Creature are just falling over Alpha because of the fact, like, oh, he was able to figure out Nano's complicated techniques. As they continue on, and Alpha explains, just look, isn't it obvious? When Hiyofumi struck it, the number above it went down, and Hiyofumi's just like, oh yeah. So it's just like a get, it's just like a game. As now goes on to say, if it's infused with some like an attack or physical body, you can see the values for it. And sure enough, we see Hiyofumi use swing. That's now slime took 5 damage. So it's basically working on RPG logic here, where one attack, you get the damage down, but But one thing that I love most about this, as opposed to several other RPGs, you can actually see the enemy's hit points here. Whereas, like in Final Fantasy games, don't really get to see the enemy's hit points. I was going to say Pokemon games, but you do see the life bar just drop down here, especially in modern Pokemon games. Oh, it's been there since the beginning with the life bar dropping down of how much HP the Pokemon has, but you don't really get to see numbers, whereas here you actually do. But it's better than what you get in Final Fantasy in Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 3, as it's more commonly known in the West. You do actually get to see the hit points of the enemies, so that you can actually work out the number. No, as opposed to Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 3, you actually do get it, whereas with Pokemon you actually do get the bars, so you can actually measure the actual hit points. So it basically works like that. It basically works on RPG rules here. As Nano as Alpha continues to go on and says, it was hard to tell what was actually having an effect visibly, but we wore it down until we beat it. And Nano again explains the rules of like 1 damage point is basically equivalent to 1 gunshot. If you keep that in mind and measure above your attacks through the Nano eye, your rook shots, Alpha, were each one damage, and Alpha just basically goes his self-esteem goes down like, oh, 1 damage, that's pathetic. And Hiyofumi's swirly whirly was 3 damage per hit, and of course Hiyofumi gets an ego boost for that. Like, I'm stronger. Well, yeah, physically and strategically, you are stronger than Alpha Hiyofumi. I think that's already been pretty much established. And swing was 10 damage, and Alpha is just completely mind-blown about that. But Hiyofumi's just like, yay! And they say, they are great numbers, you're very good. And Hiyofumi's just like, oh, I really trained hard so I can protect Alpha. And Korincha says that, oh, it's love. But Alpha, with his eyes are just like wide enough, just like obvious jealousy on his eyes, like, I wish I did more damage here, but he's more akin to saying that I get now with these we'll be able to deliver damage more efficiently. Thanks, Uncle Nano. Before Nano's like, no, I owe you the apology. You came all this way to rescue me, but this is all I can do. And Alpha and Courageous like, don't be silly, Nano. That's an app exactly appropriate for a dungeon. So now that we know, now that we've established the rules and everything, let's test it out. Let's test it out on them. As we see, just how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, about 20 nano sites just started coming all around them, and of course, Alpha is grossed out by it. Probably because it reminds him of frogs. And he was just like, there are so many of them, and they're all so wiggly. Like even she is getting annoyed by this. But of course, this is where Caritrus is like, okay, so they're both a bit freaked out by this. This does look like a bit too many for you. Let's lower the difficulty a touch as he uses. Okay, this is a new technique we've seen for Caritrus. It's the Nagarishi Calm Storm fingertip version, where it's more like it's on a smaller scale from his big Nagari Calm Storm, where he just uses his fingertips to project his steel spider, kind of like as a circular whip. So it's like a kind of like that when you use your fingertips like that. That's basically what he's doing for to these nano slimes, and he says. And Alpha is just amazed by what he did, over 1,000 damage just for that one technique, and all at once too. And Koicho just now is again getting a bit of an ego boost of like, no, don't be shy, admit you respect and admiration for me has gone up through the roof. So though you two could manage that much with a little bit of work, But of course, if you're just willing to ask, that this is basically what's probably going through Creature's mind. If you're willing to ask and give me a peck on the cheek, I might be able to give you some pointers. But of course, this being a RPG, like once you get rid of all the weaker enemies, the big boss shows up and they become King Nanano, and it's like, oh no, the slimes combined, and it says over 2,000. What are we gonna do? So the King Nanano slime basically starts jumping at them. They dodge out of the way. Hifumi tries to use Swing, which only does 9 damage, and then it emits the poison gas on it. And sure enough, as it emits the poison gas, it makes her confused. So yeah, working again on the RPG logic here, but of course she. What makes her confused is really long, complicated words, which, of course, she starts firing off by going, the tolling of the Gorgia Shoja bells, ring the Imperious Menace of all things. Yeah, so she got smart, which got her even more confused, which I find that incredibly hilarious here. And she continues to go on and say, to see what is right and do nothing is cowardice. The truly wise know themselves for fools. And Alpha's just like, okay, Hifumi, snap out of it. If you keep acting that smart, your brain will short circuit, which it already has at this point because she's got the swirly eyes going on. It's only a matter of time before the smoke starts coming off her brain. And as the slime tries to attack them once again, Alpha uses his night ability and uses fire at this point. Uses the offensive technique of his night technique, which does eight points of damage. And he's just like, only 8. Rock power increases the longest it charge. At best, it only doubles its power per second, and it can only charge for 3 seconds. Now, this isn't nearly enough output. The enemy has 2,000 HP. Hifumi and I can't do much more than plink at it, and he's just trying to get Hifumi to snap out of this point. And he's starting to reiterate like, oh, there's no way we can win right now. But this is where Kiricho comes in. It's just like, again, being the creepy uncle that he is. One stroke of the cheek gets an instant of help. So it's like, you want to help me? You have to give me a peck on the cheek. And Alpha's just like, oh, no, there's no way we're doing that. But but this is where they notice, like, wait, Kiricho is having some cup of tea, so why can he be just sitting there doing that? And Kiricho says like, the sight of my brave niece and nephew fighting valiantly makes for a lovely contrast to it. It puts me in a mood to talk to myself. Feel free to ignore me if you want. And at this point, this is where Hifumi has snapped out of her hallucinations, as she said in the previous page, like, oh, a flam, that's as big as our house. And Kiricho then gives like probably the most respect he's given to Tayo out of the whole series, and you'll know why when we get into it, because he's like, from what I know of your father, he would never give up no matter how bleak the situation is. The Yozakura family has always been gifted with a variety of powers, but the world we live in is a harsh one. No normal person could have hoped to survive it, no matter how hard they tried. Yet he managed to keep up. He mastered the skills a normal person could have learned and improvised them with them as best as he could. Excertainly technical, single-minded goals. He looked cruder and more perfected than you believe, but in the end, he did achieve results by it, as we get flashbacks to all the fights and all the struggles that Tayo has gone through over the series. But yeah, pretty much the most compliment that you're going to get from Kiricho about Tayo at this point. Now, this is where Polyjones was saying stuff like, oh, do you think at this point Tayo's story is done because he's getting praise from Kiricho? Like, personally, I don't think Tayo's story is done yet, because we still need to learn. He doesn't need any more character development, but he can still take on the role of a mentor. Like, that can be at the next stage of his story. And plus, we still need to find out more about why his family is so interconnected with the Yozakura family, because because the fact that him and Mutsumi were almost destined to be together even before they were born, that raises a few red flags for me. And also as well, his story is not fully completed until Koricho can actually say stuff like this without what is coming up in a few pages time. He goes on to say that both of them are gifted with incredible talents, and all that's left is for you to figure out how to beat this thing. And this gives Alpha and Hifumi the confidence boost. Alpha whispers the strategy to Hifumi and just like, okay, let's try it. Watch this, Papa. We can overcome this hurdle to get together. And we end the chapter with the king at 1,983 hit points as Koricho goes on into an inner monologue by saying, yes, it was to motivate those two, but saying positive things about that boy was horribly stressful. Speaking those words chipped at my lips. When I get home, I'm gonna punch him a few dozen times just to satisfy my hatred for him, my obvious hatred for him. So yeah, very simple chapter. Even though the explanation was a bit complicated for me and even for Hifumi to understand. Now, like I said, what I feel like will be the apex of Tao's story is for Koricho to say something positive about him, without it being the need for him to be like, I'm going to kill Tao for having him say something, for having me say positive things about him. Now, what's going to happen next about with the series? Well, obviously, possibly the next chapter will be them figuring out the strategy to beat this thing and actually beating it, and then maybe the chapter after that they'll finally meet Nanano, and we'll finally get to see a full scale of what his post time skip design actually looks like, and whether or not he still has the buckets that remains to be seen. So yeah, maybe in 2 chapters time they'll have not just Nanano stamp but Koricho stamp as well, but that remains to be seen, because next chapter is chapter 190. So yeah, I feel like at chapter 200 we might get all the Yozakuras reuniting, and we might actually get Shinzo's stamp then, and then get Futama's stamp on. Wait, how many? So we're in August now. So September, October, November, December. So we've got about 12 chapters before the end of the year. So maybe the end of the year ends with all the stamps being collected, including Tao and Mutsumi's, and that leads into the next year and the next part of the story. That's my prediction of how this is all going to go down. So next 2 chapters might get Koricho and Nanano stamps, and then by the end of the year, we'll have Futaba and Shinzo stamps, because we need Shinzo back in the story at this point. He's been away for so long. This has probably been the longest we've been without Shinzo in the entire story. So it'll be interesting to see what how his character is going to change, what his design is going to look like, and what task he's going to have for the kids. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.